Hello guys, today we will be talking about Yugoslavian/Serbian anti-tank mine TMA3 and TMA4. The goal was to develop light, non-metallic anti-tank mine that is easy to camouflage. In case of TMA4 that you can see here, the total weight is 6.3 kilograms, explosive filling is 5.5 kilogram of cast TNT. Of course, around the detonators we have pressed TNT boosters. And now we will go through the differences between the TMA3 and the later version TMA4. TMA3, the force necessary to trigger that one was 180 kilograms. In this 4 variant, it's only 100 kilograms. Also, TMA3 had on site a carry strap. Here on the later version, we get just hole and this carry rope. The outer material on TMA3 was resin impregnated fabric. Here on later variant, it's just plastic. This later variant, it's square, but the pre-successor, it's more rounded around the edges. One very key difference is that TMA4 don't have the booby trap nest. On anti-tank mines from that period of time and even later variants, on some of them you have little detonator nest right here. Where is this casting mark? For your series of anti-lift devices, which Yugoslavia it's quite known for, and those were very common over there, and pretty much are common to this day if you getting supplied by Serbia/Yugoslavian stock. The differences are also in the fuses. So here we have package of 3 fuses UTMA4. The UTMA3 had actually exposed blasting cap. Here it's fully enclosed. So now let's take a look at the fuses. As you can see, we have 3 fuse wells and also 3 fuses packed in such matter. So now we will unbox it. We just removed the duct tape. As usual, we are careful to take all those pieces of tape with us to don't leave anything behind. So these are the boxes and now let's take them apart. Now let's open one up, and what we're getting inside the package is this. So here is the detonator, just a styrofoam, and here we have the metal plug, which we will talk about later. So as I mentioned, here we have the UTMA4 and you can see that the detonator is hidden. On the UTMA3 you would have a protruding plastic cap right around here. Talking about the fuses, these are friction-based fuses, so there is basically no need for a striker, which would be additional metal. So the only metal is the little bit of aluminium around the blasting caps and that's it. So it goes hand in hand with the philosophy of having non-metallic mine. Now let's talk about the 3 detonators design. So the UTMA4, as I mentioned, is activated by 100 kilograms of pressure over here. The striker is forced through the top diaphragm and into the friction-sensitive primer composition, igniting it. That ignites the blasting cap. That basically initiates the explosive train, so then blasting cap, then the booster, and then activating the main charge. Now let's talk about the metal rings that are included with each fuse. You actually can't put it under the fuse, but you can put them under the mine itself. Why would you ever want to do that? That's in case that you have only those mines available and you want to have minefield that is actually detectable by metal detectors or some more developed vehicle mounted systems. Then you can just lay 3 of those rings under the mine or basically leave them on top of the mine and then add the camouflage layer. What is the exact SOP about placing those metal rings? I don't know. Please let me know in the comments. The 3 detonator design helps when the vehicle or tank track go only over the edge of the mine. So you can imagine that if we had one detonator just in the middle, then you have tank track going like so, it would not activate. Or if the tank track goes somewhere here, even when it bypasses just slightly, one of those fuses will be in the way activating the mine. Also, it's more resistant against explosive demining, so you can imagine one of those Miklik charges getting detonated. There is not a big surface on top of those detonators. If you had one big detonator in the middle with big surface, yes, the blast would just activate the mine. Here we have very little surface after all, so it's much more resistant to that method of demining. In theory, those mines can actually be separated to 3 different pieces, so you can imagine separating them like so, cutting them. Hello guys, this is Valgir from the future. My microphone decided not to cooperate. So in theory you can basically cut the TMA, free TMA for mines into the 3 pieces, because each piece will have its own fuse. You can cut along those lines, and basically cutting cast TNT, it's not really a problem. You can do it, as well as you can actually drill it. So to drill some additional fuse well for anti-lift somewhere here, it's definitely not a problem. The only thing to keep in mind is that here you would just have exposed TNT in the cuts, so you can cover it with some resin, paint, tape, whatever, in case that you decide to create smaller mines like so. This smaller mine with, let's say, 1.5 kilogram of TNT, a little bit more than that, will still be more than enough to blow off wheel on some normal soft skin vehicle, or even as anti-personnel mine, because we know that the fuse is somewhere in the 100-120 kilogram range. If you have soldier with backpack, it's pretty much enough to activate it. So generally what you want to do, same like with any ordnance, is just visual check on the fuses, visual check on the mine itself. Then in some schools it's taught that first you basically dig the hole, then plant the mine, only then add detonators. I don't really like to do that, because I like to have the mine assembled before. Specifically because some of the ground or sand might actually get in the fuse wells during the seating of the mine, and then you have basically hard time to screw those in. When we look at the fuses, you can see here is massive sealing ring, and there is basically no safety pin, nothing like that. So once you actually unpack those from the rigid plastic packaging, basically the mine is activated, the fuse is activated, so be mindful of that. So we will first actually put the fuses inside the mine. So we just remove the transportation plug and screw those fuses in. Of course, we're trying to use some force to basically make them tight as possible to prevent any humidity to get inside the mines. You can also see the handy grooves on the shipping plugs of the fuse wells. So just like so, just like so. We will not be using the metal discs. If you want to use them, in my opinion, I would just keep them laid on top, like so. In case that the mine is exposed and these things are actually shiny, so once the ground erode, or let's say for example rain remove the ground, those are very flashy, so you can actually put them under the mine, but we will not be using those. As you can see, this is a lot of waste. Always be mindful to don't leave any of those around behind you. And third one. We can make those hand tight, that's okay. Also what we can remove is actually this little transportation rope, because we will not need it, and in case that we keep it here, we will just make it a little bit more easier for the sapper when he actually put little hook here and wants to move the mine again to check for anti-lift devices when demining. Once we have the mine ready in such condition, we can put it aside. We just choose the spot where to plant the mine. What we try to do is to remove the top layer of the soil that we will actually need for the camouflage later. And again, we have little box to put all the soil into. Okay, this seems good enough. We are very lucky that we are basically on a spot where people were putting waste all the time. So the ground is very soft, and you even see some of the bricks because of the construction waste. Now let's put the mine in. Like this, it seems ideal. Now let's add some soil around the mine. You have the protruding fuses on top, and it's so much more easier to camouflage those free than having one huge fuse in the middle, like for example MVC62. So I really liked that. Let's just finish the camouflaging now. So in this specific spot it's just perfect, because you can't really tell there is any mine. Thank you very much guys for watching. If you wish to support us, you can use the PayPal link down below, which is especially handy currently because we have diesel shortages, or you can become YouTube member for extra videos.